Gimme Story, storytelling time. It's now in its 13th year. And you're supposed to clap Henry Mutu and the Cultural Foundation for that achievement. I think it's quite significant because what Gimme Story is doing, you are bringing communities together. Look how everybody from the area come out here. We could fraternize, we can socialize. We'll eat a little fish and fritters after the show. You'll meet your friends, your neighbors, and you'll hear a good story from a cross-section of Caymanian tellers and tellers from all around the world. You'll hear stories in song from Trinidad and Tobago. You'll hear some extempo. We have a nice, well-rounded evening for you. Sit back and relax. Enjoy the show. Now, Cayman has some very, very talented people. Not only storytellers. Some of them tell stories in song too. And you know, it's the first year that I've been working with them. And I must say the gentleman, the singer, has impressed me by his voice, his ability to sing, his ability to sing the patriotic song of Cayman. You know, and I quite like that, and the people appreciate it too. So we'd like to start this show on a patriotic note. And I'd like to bring on to you native Caymanians, Steve and Mike McTaggart.
We're going to start with a song that I wrote in memory of my grandfather. And it's called Me and My Granddad. And it takes me back to a time as a little boy when he always spent the time very early mornings. You know, we'd hear the neesberries falling out of the trees. We lived over on Mary Street in Georgetown. Mary and Fort, in actual fact. We lived on Fort Street. And in the early mornings, he'd go out there and he'd sing to me, or he'd hum to me, and he'd rock in the hammock. I'd get up very early just to be with him.
Me too.
And then at about 6 o'clock at night, we'd go back out on that old porch. And there's that beautiful old wood swing. He built a huge, he was a carpenter. And he built boats as well. He's a shipbuilder. And this is for him. This is for him. I remember as a little boy I sat upon his knee in the hours of the early morn out on the front porch swing. And I used to hear him singing Old Black Joe and Uncle Ned. These are memories I hold so dear of me and my granddad. And I hear the rustling of the leaves as gentle breezes blow. And I still can hear him singing in his tone so sweet and low, of the good times that we shared and the fun times that we had. These are memories I hold so dear of me and my granddad. In the workshop I would watch him as the broken things he'd mend. All the nuts and bolts and tools and nails he'd keep there for his friends. When all the work was over, he'd close the workshop door, and to the front porch swing we'd go again, and he'd sing to me once more. I'm coming, though my head is bending low. I hear the gentle voices calling Old Black Joe. On early Sunday mornings, church bells they would ring. We'd walk and talk together, my hand held tight in his. He was such a great big man when I was just a lad. But the memories are oh so dear of me and my granddad. And I hear the rustling of the leaves as gentle breezes blow. And I still can hear him singing in his tone so sweet and low, of the good times that we shared and the fun times that we had. These are memories I hold so dear of me and my granddad. These are memories I hold so dear of me and my granddad. Well, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This is another one that we wrote, and it's about our island. It's about our home, and on the south side of the island, down on South Sound, there was a little lady there that lived in a wattle and dub house, and I fell in love with her. She was a wonderful person, and although her husband had some difficulties in later life, and she had some trouble with him, I remember going by and visiting her often, and and we'd sit and we'd talk for hours. And she was a very humorous person. And so it gave me some dialogue that I use every once in a while. But tonight I just want to honor her. And this song was written for her, and it's I Can See the Willows Waving on Your Southern Shores. How many know about the willows? You know what willows are? What are willows? Weeping willows are casuarinas. That's what they are, right? And so this song is about that. I can see the willows waving on your southern shores as the breeze it gently whispers through your trees. And the song I hear you singing floats across a distant shore, and it seems to say, my boy, come back to me. Come back home to your island, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. Sing with us. Come back home to your island, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. I can smell the salty air upon your harbor as the northwest winds, they blow across your sea. And I see the foaming whitecaps as they break against your shores. Like a distant drum, I hear them call me. Come back home to your island, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. Come back home to your island, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. And although a distant sea has come between us, and I've been to many ports in many lands, I can see your West Bay beaches with its shining coral sand, and my heart it longs for you, oh Grand Cayman. Come back home to your island, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. Come back home to your island, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. This is one I'm sure you all know. It's an old one, but it's a wonderful, nice one. Mike does a wonderful job on it. I can't whistle. Go ahead. I hope the mic's working. Mike?
He hopes Mike is working.
Mike.
Anytime you're ready. Yellow bird.
I thought you were going to whistle.
This half thoughts, I know about it. You take the lead now. Play
Okay.
Yellow bird
Up high in banana tree, yellow bird, you sit all alone like me. Did your lady friend leave your nest again? That is very bad, make me feel so sad. Take your wing today and you'll fly away. You're more lucky than me. I also had a pretty girl. She's not with me today. They all the same, the pretty girl. Take tenderness and they fly away. Yellow bird up high in banana tree. Yellow bird, you sit all alone like me. Did your lady friend leave your nest again? That is very bad, make me feel so sad. Take your wing today and you'll fly away. You're more lucky than me.
Down the way
Where the nights are gay and the sun shines gaily on a mountain top, I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town.
Remember, that's where we flubbed up the last time.
Sounds of laughter everywhere, and the dancing girls swing to and fro. I must declare my heart is there, though I've been from Maine to Mexico. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. Had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town.
Well, my heart is down.
My head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, thank you.
Christmas is a time for sharing and giving, you know. So I can remember last year going with my son to get a Christmas gift for his grandmother. So we went into a pet store, and the pet store owner said he had a parrot, and if you light a lighter under one leg, he would sing a Christmas carol, and if you light it under the next leg, he would also sing a Christmas carol. Put him through the test. So I took the lighter and I lit it under the right leg of the parrot, and the parrot started to sing, jingle bells, jingle all the way. And then I took the lighter and I lit it under the left leg of the parrot, and the parrot started to sing, oh, holy night, the stars are bright. But my son's so miserable. You know, he took that lighter and lighted between the both legs of the parrot. And that parrot started to sing, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Christmas really is the best time of the year. Now I want to bring on, I'd like to bring on a stalwart in Caribbean culture. A stalwart for the cause of the woman, for the cause of what is right. A beautiful cultural person, a wonderful friend, a wonderful storyteller. From Jamaica, I would like to bring to you the one and only Miss Amina Blackwood Meeks.
You know, people think some very bad things of Jamaicans. And Jamaicans are the best behaving people in the whole world. Don't you know that? Hallelujah. I try my best to behave myself, especially when my mother is not around. And then Sage go and provoke me, talking about things that look like Christmas light and Christmas tree. And I swear it's my clothes him look at, you know, Louis. Because last night we down in, where were we last night again? North side. And there were these beautiful ladies frying fish and making swanky. And Louis, I go around taking pictures. And them kind of look at me funny, you know. And one of them say under our breath, we don't want any paparazzi around here. So I said, Papa didn't come out tonight. This is Mamarazzi. And she never laughed. So I go, I better try and mend this fence now. And there I was in my full suit of white and my Jamaican colors, feeling just as pretty as you please. So I said to her, you know, I'm one of the storytellers. And she said, I imagine so, dressed like that. So since I'm going to tell a Christmas story tonight, I decided to dress up like a Christmas tree. Pretty, don't it? Let me go. Christmas a come me wa me lama. 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 I don't know the origin of that word, but the lama is anything nice that you want for Christmas. So let's go. Christmas a come me wa me lama. 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 And then you have to list out what you want. So if you want shoes, you have to say, not a shoes pa me foot, me wa me la. And not a shoes pa me foot. And not a shoes pa me foot. Christmas a come. I know what Louis want. Not a hair pa me head. And not a hair pa me head. And not a hair pa me head. Christmas a come. Now when I say crick, you have to say crack so the story can begin. Crick. A long time ago, there was this man. He was a farmer. You know, farmers have the worst time in the Caribbean. No rain no fall, so the crop no grow. Then too much rain fall, so the crop wash away. And when the little bit of food grow, all you go to the market and try beat down the price. So farmers end up very poor. And this man was very poor. And so were his neighbors and their children. And so one year he planted in January, and there was no rain. February, March, which month come next? Oh, you're bright, man. And there was no rain. May, June, July, and what happened? Too much rain, hurricane season. August, September. And by the time October came around and he turned on his radio, he heard these wonderful songs. It's beginning to look like Christmas. And him see all the people getting ready for taking money and him don't have any already. And all his children were making a list of what they wanted to get or what they wanted to give. Christmas a come me wa me lama. Christmas a come me wa me lama. Christmas a come me wa me lama. Christmas a come. And he was very unhappy. And he wondered what it would be like to have money that Christmas. In fact, he wondered what would it be like to find that Christmas the greatest treasure of all. And somebody told him that at the end of the rainbow is the greatest treasure of all. And so he decided that the next time the rainbow came up, he would follow it and bring back the treasure and share with everybody. And me would have get my ring and my shoes and nice clothes, and Louis get him here, and so on. And so his wife scraped up everything she could find, little bit of flour, little bit of cornmeal, and she make some, in Cayman you call it dumpling, don't it? In Trinidad they call it bakes. In Jamaica the Rasta man call it talk plin because him not dumb. Yes! So she make up some talk plin, man. And she make up some lemonade. And she put the lemonade into a little demijohn. And she put the talk plin into a little flour bag. And the next time the rainbow came up, this farmer packed his bag and begun to follow the rainbow. Christmas a come me wa me lama. 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 And every day he had 2 tarpaulins and 2 sips of the lemonade. It was a long journey. And when he had only 2 sips and 2 tarpaulins left, he came across 2 strangers in the forest. I can't find anybody in the audience who is maybe Ken Corsby. Maybe they were as fat as Ken Corsby. And them had white squall around them mouth. And them say, oh, them hungry. And them want something to eat. And could he? And them said, no, I only have 2 of these left. And I have a long way to go. And if I give you, I'm going to have to turn back. And they said, well, if you don't give us, we're going to die. And so he bargained. And what do you think he did? Yeah, you would give it to them too, wouldn't you? You're a wonderful child. Clap this very kind boy. So he gave them what he had left, and so he had to turn around. And very sadly, he was heading back home. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come. And then he heard somebody call his name. Biambi! And Biambi wondered who in the middle of the rainbow knew his name, and he turned around. Louis, and there were the 2 strangers running behind him. Except no, their skins were glowing, and they had something like halos on their heads. And Biambi remembered that somewhere he had read, be kind to strangers. You never know, one of these days you might be entertaining angels. And that's who they were. They said, Biambi, we know where you're going. And when you get there, you're going to need this. And they gave him a great big key. And before he could say thank you, poof, they disappeared and left a huge bag full of that fry-up thing there, you know. And a bigger bottle full of lemonade. You can imagine how happy Biambi was. And he grabbed it and turned around and he ran. Christmas a come, me want me llama. 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 And one day, he came to the end of the rainbow, where he saw a great big wooden hut with a door that creaked when he put the key in. Inside was dark and dank. And it took him a long time for his eyes to become accustomed to the darkness. And on the other side of the room, he saw another door. When Biambi opened that, it was as bright as a Caymanian morning. The sun was beautiful. The roses were as beautiful as the ones in this lovely garden. But there were flowers of every shape and description. And somewhere in the distance, Biambi heard his favorite Christmas carol. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come. And Biambi thought, who in the middle of nowhere knows my favorite song? And the voices kept getting nearer and louder. That's your cue. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come. Hold on, he said to himself. That sounds like my wife. And my son and my daughter. Your turn. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come. And my neighbors and their children. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. And as they came closer, sure enough, that's who they were. And Biambi realized that he had traveled halfway around the world to find the greatest treasure of all, to come back to the place where he lived to discover that all the while he was living with the greatest treasure of all. May you find yours this Christmas. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me llama. Christmas a come, me want me. And at a hat pa me head, me want me llama.
Amina Blackwood Meeks.